Hi everyone, it's Leonore. Welcome to Soul Searching Tarot. Welcome back for those who have been supporting me. Love you lots. Today I am doing the insight and information for all air signs: Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Aquarius, you're actually getting a bonus because I already did your insight and information. I guess that's my birthday gift to you. Air signs. What are my air signs? We have Gemini. Gemini is a mutable sign, mutable air sign. Then we have Libra. Libra is a cardinal air sign. Then we have Aquarius. Aquarius is the last air sign of the zodiac wheel. It is a fixed air sign. Okay? There are no coincidences. There are no coincidences. I said there are no coincidences, or there are no coincidences. Why doesn't that make sense? Whatever. Moving on. With my air signs, I do want to touch on behavioral, relation, and mental aspects of your zodiac sign. Disclosure, I do not study psychology. But I definitely want you to see how the air element, starting from Gemini, with Libra being in the middle and Aquarius being in the end, how there is a connection that flows with air signs. I'm going to cross-reference Joker, the movie, the 2019 movie that came out. If you have not seen it, then, I'm not going to give out too much information. I'll tell you that right now. I'm going to talk about the why instead of what happened, like, oh my God, what happened in the end? Did so-and-so die? That's not going to be the type of topic that I'm going to be discussing, because I'm not discussing movies. I'm discussing the physiological, psychosocial, and psycho-emotional side of the air signs, of all air signs. I just want to cross-reference it with Joker, the movie. Ready? Gemini represents communication, information, data analyst. It also represents community, neighborhood, the media. Now, the movie starts in Gotham. That's basically where it's usually is, isn't it? In the very beginning of the movie, you hear the newsman or newswoman, I can't remember, talk about the conditions of the city. Okay? That's the media. That is communication. That is information. Okay? That represents Gemini. Now, we have a city that basically is overrun by, at this point, rats, because there has been a 12, 15-day strike on garbage collecting. There's a strike. And now we're talking about a neighborhood that it's very either poor or of low class, okay? It's in the city. All right, so we're not talking about middle class, per se, but we're talking about people that, may or may have not gone to high school, definitely live in city areas, okay? The mayor is not paying too much attention to the dingy conditions of their neighborhood, their community, okay? So this is making people upset because there are businesses that are closing down just because it's so disgusting. They're losing money. The price in heating oil is up. So this is how the movie opens. This is how the movie begins. This represents Gemini, because we just heard all this information and all the communication that has to do with a community, okay? I definitely did not hear anything about Istanbul. I definitely did not hear anything about Tokyo. when we listen to the news, it's usually our community. Okay, good or bad news, it's our community. That represents Gemini. Now, let's go into Libra. Now, Libra, you represent the house of partnerships. Doesn't matter, marriage, boyfriend and girlfriend, friends, enemies, platonic relationships, business, family, friends. Did I say friends? Libra represents social conditions, and I want you to understand that we are taught and believed that there's certain things, certain situations that have to happen. You know, we are, I don't want to say brainwashed. Somebody like me will probably say brainwashed, but that's too dramatic. I don't want to say brainwashed. But we are taught to be a certain way, right? To act a certain way. You know, if you go to church, you have to go every Sunday. If you work, you know, you have to make sure you are responsible and pay your bills. You know, this is all coming from the information of Gemini. And so Libra's job is to form these partnerships, right? Go to work, have, you know, co-workers, get married, have a family, earn money, you know, social conditions, you know, coming from a community, coming from a neighborhood. You may or may not move out of your neighborhood, it doesn't matter. But now you are in a partnership, okay? And again, to cross-reference Joker, the movie, this character, the main character, gave up something of himself to move on to another relationship, or just to move on, period. Okay? Libra represents that, giving up something of yourself to move on. He was taking care of his mother. His mother was ill, and so he took great care of her, you know, and he gave up something of himself, you know, sacrificed something of himself to take care of his mother, okay? And so that's what he gave up, you know, and his mother always used to tell him that, you know, putting a smile on someone's face is the best thing, you know, any human being could do. Don't quote me, but that's in his head. That is a communication that was said to him by his mother, okay? Making someone smile is it's the best thing you could do, okay? Now, Joker, he sacrificed who he was to make his mother proud. He sacrificed other things in life, I don't know, to be there for his mom, because his mother, it was just him and his mother, there was no one else. And so this is giving up a piece of yourself for a relationship, okay? That's what Libra represents. He even made up an imaginary friend, or not an imaginary friend, but more like an imaginary relationship, you know, for his own comfort. That all represents Libra. I mean, come on. Who out there did not make up imaginary friends or dolls, you know, whatever. They were Legos, Barbies, whatever the case may be. Did you not make up a whole village or a whole household, you know? That represents Libra, you know, social conditions. Now, this is where the Libra mentality spills onto Scorpio. This imagination spills into Scorpio. Now, every sign has some type of trait or characteristic that spills onto the other sign. And with Libra, the rebirth and the regeneration, because Libras are all about rebuilding relationships, specifically rebuilding relationships. And so Libra, who is air, mental, logic, the narcissism psychology games starts with Libra and is elevated in Scorpio. Scorpio is now the manifester, or the pro in psychology. That does represent the 8th house. That's the psychology that starts with Libra. The complexity, the darkness. Libra puts on a happy face. I'm happy. And Scorpio does not. Scorpio will hide inside their hole and literally die mentally and emotionally. And when they're ready, they will regenerate, transform themselves into a better person. Libra does not do this. Libra needs another relationship for comfort. They go from one relationship to another relationship, and it doesn't matter. I'm not talking about just marriages. It could be any relationship. It could be your neighbor. Your husband left you, and now you're being friends with a neighbor. You kind of replace one for the other. There's some soundtracks that I wanted to go and talk about, because I'm always gotta talk about movies or music. I love the arts. What are you gonna do? The soundtrack of Joker, the movie, it's pretty cool, pretty interesting. I know there's a couple of songs that really stood out to me. One of them is Everybody Plays a Fool. It's an old song. It's by the Main Ingredients. I'll try to remember to leave the link to that song. I'm not a great singer. I'm not going to sing it. Everybody plays a fool. I mean, that just says it all. Everybody does play the fool. Doesn't matter what sign you are. We do, whether we know it or not. Remember, our motivations and intentions, whether it's onto other people or to ourselves, sometimes we do have to play the fool. Sometimes we do have to sacrifice a bit of ourselves to move on to another relationship, to make that relationship happy. Okay? There's no exception to the rule. It may be factual, it may be cruel. Sometimes. Listen, baby. Okay. All right, I'm done. All right. The other song that I want to talk about that you hear at least 2 times in the movie Joker is "That's Life." I think Frank Sinatra remade the song. It's famous. That's Life. That is such a Libra song. You're riding high in April, shut down in May. I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king. Libra represents the honeymoon phase. Can you tell? The movers and shakers, they're the cardinal signs, they represent rebuilding. That's my whole point of the whole situation. They represent rebuilding. Interesting though, in That's Life, it sounds like such an upbeat song, right? That's life, but it's sort of depressing. It reminded me of one scene, or a couple of scenes. The Joker would carry a journal with him, and there was this one sentence that was seen a couple of times in the movie, and he wrote in his journal, because he was supposed to have a journal. The social worker or his psychiatrist will tell him to keep a journal, and in this journal he puts, "I just hope my death makes more sense than my life." Except he spells sense, CENTS, like coins, like change, not SENSE. And so I can't wrap my head around that one. What does that mean? Welcome to the 11th house. The house of Aquarius. The house that represents mental illness. I mean, we're talking about psychosocial, physiological. In this movie, the main character was on 7 different medication. He wanted more meds. He said, look, I'm not happy. He made his mom so happy, and he disguised who he really was. That's Libra. Because his mom kept saying to him, you know, you should be out here making people laugh, and his mother was everything to him. That was his home. So you see how it just stems from Gemini to Libra, and then boop, like literally Gemini to Libra to Aquarius. This was his mental illness. He had mental illness. Come to find out that it's hereditary, but you know, it was a lot more traumatic for him, I think. You know, I don't know. There's not too much information about mommy, but yeah, he was at his breaking point by the time we got to Aquarius. In the movie, he tried to pull the trigger, and we think that he wants to commit suicide, right? That's what we think, you know, even though he's trying to pull the trigger. It's like, is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? Is he, you know, messing around? Like, we don't know. As a viewer, we don't know. We don't know what's in his head. And by the way, fun fact, Gemini, my Gemmies, you happen to be the #1 serial killing zodiac sign. And then there's Sagittarius, and then there's Capricorn, and then there's Sagittarius. No, I already mentioned Sagittarius. Capricorn, but I felt the need to mention Sagittarius twice. Top 4 serial killers, you know, if we had to mention zodiac signs. 3 out of the 4 mutable signs. 1 happens to be a cardinal sign, which is a patriarch, Capricorn. I did a beautiful insight and information on Capricorn. Love does not live here anymore. So not surprising that they're on the top 4 of serial killing. Aquarius, even though they represent mental illness, they're not in the top 4. They didn't make the list. I'm not saying Geminis are serial killers. You need to break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend. It's a little scary though when you think about it. I did date a couple of Geminis with like more than 2 placements in Gemini. Yeah. We broke up. Okay. Sorry. I digress. Now, with Aquarius, Aquarius is coming from the Libra sign, right? As far as its fellow air sign. Libra, it's all about justice. It's all about being fair. And then we have Aquarius. Aquarius, they're the misfits, the rebels. They have no regards for authority. In the past, you know, the Dark Knight and whatever Batman movies that came out with the Joker in it, you kind of see that, especially oh my God, Heath Ledger played the Joker. You know, because people were expecting like action in this last Joker movie, and there was no action. It was all mental. It was all about social conditions, psychology, social emotionals, psycho-emotional, I should say, social emotional. that's what it was all about, right? Some people were upset. They were like, fuck, this is supposed to be a DC comic movie. But I get it. I loved it. It gave me great research for my air signs. A great movie that embodies the Aquarian aspects, traits, and characteristics is The Fight Club. I had mentioned that before in one of my Aquarius Insight and Information video. The Fight Club is such an Aquarius movie. I mean, we see mental illness. We see cult leaders. That is an Aquarian movie, big time. But one thing I want to say is that, you know, with Aquarius, rebellion cannot exist without some form of strange love. They're a detached people, unemotional. You don't get that with the other two air signs. The other two air signs are not detached. The other two air signs are not unemotional. But with Aquarius, you know, you would think the sign that represents humanitarian is all about love and feeling and attachments, and it's totally not that way at all. I hope that you got something from this insight and information for all my air signs. Love you. Bye.